So, what are the next builds I want to do? So let me think. After this build with Maul, it makes me want to go into a Qui-Gon playthrough, who is also going to, I guess the first thing would be which characters am I going to use for a male playthrough to get the battle precognition? And there's not that many. Like, you could argue that maybe everyone kind of has some version of it, maybe not. But there's only a couple builds that I think are going to use it. Like, we're going to have an Obi-Wan build that can probably use it. Like, I think a Qui-Gon build. Maybe you could say that he has some kind of battle precognition, but maybe not, because of how he lost to Maul. Maybe he still kind of saw it happen beforehand, I don't know. But so if you do a Qui-Gon build, I'll probably go female as well. So what would you do with Qui-Gon? I don't think you would go for a Guardian, because he just doesn't beat Maul. He doesn't... Like, how do you make it so that you can have our Maul build here beat our Qui-Gon build, you know? And I think it's, I don't think that Qui-Gon would be a consular either, because he's not the best with, like, using his force powers. Like, he's not able to mind trick Watto. However, if he had this force focus that you get from a consular, he might have been able to. So I think Qui-Gon's a Sentinel. I think that's the best class for Qui-Gon. Whereas Obi-Wan is a Guardian like Maul. So let's show this first. Let's go into Guardian and do show you the Kenobi build, which is this 14 everything. It's pretty balanced, except for intelligence, which we're going to do for every build probably. Maybe Anakin can go up to like 10 or something and get a couple stats for repair or something. So I think this is a good build for Obi-Wan, and then you go 18 con ASAP, and then dexterity for the rest of the game. Why not wisdom? I think you could argue either way, really. Like, you're gonna have dexterity and wisdom to help with your defense with the battle precognition perk. So if you could just go 18 con and upgrade wisdom for the rest of the game. You could split and do wisdom and dexterity for the rest of the game. But I think I want to just go all dex, because that kind of represents his defense, and also the fact that he can use finesse for his saber fighting. I think that makes more sense than going wisdom, because Obi-Wan's still really good at using force powers, but he doesn't, I don't think he really uses force powers like on anybody like really tough and succeeds, you know, like by episode 4, like, he can hit a mind trick on stormtroopers no problem, because like all he's focused on is using that kind of stuff on weak-minded people. He's not like going up and trying to hit force powers on Vader necessarily, but he still kind of could if you go 14 with both of these, you know. Like, he's able to use those rocks and just chuck them at Vader with this. So you could say, like, after you get 18 con, go for all wisdom, because it still helps your defense but helps your force too. Or you could go dex. It's totally could go either way, I think. Now, how's that different from a Qui-Gon build? So the reason I think Obi-Wan would be a Guardian, kind of for the same reason. Like, he wouldn't be a consular for the same reason. Like, they just don't use their force powers on, Like, the reason you choose Consular is for Force Focus, which gives like +4 to your dice rolls, and it makes it harder for enemies to be saved by your force powers. And I just don't really think that's, I don't think that's their style, really. So the people I would choose for Consular would be like Yoda, Sidious, probably. Obi-Wan would be a good guardian because he's gonna get all those feats and have high health and like still have enough wisdom to be able to cast some force powers and be able to use them effectively, but it's not his main thing. Its main thing is kind of that saber focus, since that's what he did throughout his life, like at least in the Clone Wars, you know. You could maybe say he's a Sentinel too. Oh, I guess not, because the Sentinel gets immunity from like stuns and stuff like that. So I think that's a decent thing for Qui-Gon. And maybe Obi-Wan a little bit, because at the beginning of episode 1, they like basically use breath control to prevent themselves from getting damaged from Dioxis in that, you know, beginning room where they're in. But Obi-Wan gets force pushed by Maul in that Duel of the Fates fight. So I don't think you would have Obi-Wan as a Sentinel, because he would have that immunity as a Sentinel to not really get stunned like that, but he did. So I think you could say Guardian. I mean, obviously Kenobi is very wise, you know. You could go all wisdom and say that that's kind of how he, you know. I guess I won't spoil anything, but, so what's Qui-Gon gonna do? Qui-Gon's gonna be a Sentinel because he has that immunity, kind of. He doesn't really get stunned by things. But he doesn't really have the feats and like lightsaber combat focus enough to be able to beat Maul in Duel of the Fates, and he also isn't really too focused on. Another problem is, like, if we choose Consular, we're gonna have to get so many powers in the game that the characters don't even really use, because Consulars just get so many force powers in this game. So that's another reason, like maybe Yoda would be good, because we can actually get lots of powers that Yoda uses, or maybe even Sidious, you know, and get lightning and get lots of dark side powers that we don't even necessarily have to use, but it's kind of easier to imagine that Sidious has the capability of using it. So for Qui-Gon, I think it would be kind of similar to this, similar to Obi-Wan. You could definitely do this, but I think for sake of min-maxing a little bit, we should do maybe a little less dex, maybe a little less strength. Because what are we going to do for Qui-Gon? We're going to get up to 18 con, and then maybe put into charisma or wisdom for the rest of the game, just to represent that he still does have decent force powers. He's still strong with the Force, like he hits mind tricks on lots of people, but, or I guess not lots of people, like he uses a mind trick on Boss Nass at the beginning of episode 1. I'm trying to think, I don't think he uses it on anybody else, he just tries to use it on Watto. Or you could just go, what I really think you could maybe do is just go all con for the rest of the game, just high health. And that's how you could maybe say, like, he's able to hold up against Maul, but eventually Maul, with the high strength build, is really just able to cut through him eventually, you know, take all his health out, before Qui-Gon's able to do the same to Maul. Because remember, our Maul build starts with 18 con, which means that every level you're getting more health than any other build. So that's going to add up over the course of the game, so that's just really good. Whereas Maul has all strength to be able to deal with Qui-Gon's health pool, Qui-Gon doesn't really have the same strength to beat Maul, and he doesn't have the Force powers to stop him either. Let's see, how about something like this? Maybe we could do these, just a little bit of these Force stats here. And the reason I want to maybe like go for some charisma with Qui-Gon is because his build is almost identical, I think, to what you would want to do with Mace Windu build. So if we think about Mace Windu, it would be similar. He's also going to be a Guardian, but maybe a female Guardian, no battle precognition. Because Anakin just cuts his hand off when he's trying to do that big macho swing at Sidious. Can't really tell what's going on, so I think Mace is also a Guardian. You could maybe even make him a Consular, because his powers work good on droids throughout the Clone Wars. But with his stats, I think what you would do is maybe have 10 for these, and then just go all con for the rest of the game. Something like this. Like he doesn't really use Force powers that much. I mean, when he does, he can decently, but he's more of... So I think what you would really do is just go for con for the rest of the game and have Mace be like the ultimate health pool build, because he's able to just sit there and get zapped by Sidious's lightning for so long and maybe not even die. Like, he got his hand cut off, and you see his skeleton like burning through when he's getting shocked. So he's got a lot of health. And like kind of just switching up, like if we do all con for this, for a Mace Windu build or something, I wouldn't want to just do the same thing on a Qui-Gon build. Like, I'd want to switch it up a little bit, like go all wisdom for Qui-Gon or something, you know, just to represent his power of the Force, because he is powerful in the Force, you know. Turns into a Force ghost for anybody else. And then some builds like... So that's kind of what I'm thinking next. Like, maybe do a Qui-Gon build immediately after the Maul build. And that seems fitting. That's kind of what I was thinking about after the Maul build, was who would be the best to do next. I think Qui-Gon's probably the candidate for that. But then the Obi-Wan build would be great too, because it's going to have battle precognition and be a Guardian. So we're probably going to be able to fight all the Handmaiden sisters and do all those pretty easily. Like some builds, like if you go with a Sidious Consular build, like again, you could maybe say like maybe there's a Sith version of battle precognition. Maybe there's like different kinds of versions of it or something, you know, but I don't know. It maybe does kind of seem like Sidious lacked the ability to see what was going on, really. So if we choose a Consular for Sidious, and we min-max con and this, and go all charisma for the rest of the game, because that'll just make his lightning super cheap to use. The problem is that if we have no strength or dex, the early game is going to be really tough, and like we're not even going to be able to do the Handmaiden sister fights, because we won't be able to hit them when we're unarmed or with a sword. However, like, we'd be able to force attack them really well. What else could we do? We could do this. I mean, just a little bit. I mean, Sidious is also a good saber fighter, but what we would do with him is 18 con and then like all charisma for the rest of the game, just so he gets good force stuff. So like some of these builds, I might not even do the Handmaiden Academy, or the Handmaiden Sister fight, just for sake of like, I don't want to just make every build the 14 balanced build. I want to go for some more min-maxing with Sidious, because he uses lightning so much. Something like this. Just for sake of having, mix it up a little bit. So maybe every build doesn't necessarily have to complete the Handmaiden Sister fight or the battle circle on Duxin. Like we can maybe skip some of those, because if you're a Sith, if you're Sidious, you're not worried about all that stuff. You're only worried about the fight that really matters, which is the fight at the end game. Another character would be Luke. Maybe Luke kind of you could say Luke has battle precognition, maybe not. That's the thing, like you could say everybody could just get it, maybe everybody not. Because everybody has their own flaws in their characters, not everybody's like a perfect Jedi or whatever. Yoda would be similar to like Sidious, where like we'd give him a little bit of this, but then max out his con and max out his wisdom probably. Except, see, this is kind of where it gets debatable. Like if you make a Yoda build that gets to 18 con eventually and then wisdom for the rest of the game, like why would that build not be able to beat a Sidious build? Because they basically draw at the end of episode 3, So I'm kind of trying to think of some of that stuff with these builds. Not just like, oh, I want to use all wisdom because it's cool. Like, I'm kind of trying to be somewhat realistic with it without just going to this all 14 to start. Because this is kind of like the Chad balanced build start. Because you don't sacrifice anything. You're able to use the most points. And then you can still just get up to 18 con for the implants. And then whatever other stat you're going to focus on for the rest of the game. It's like we could have even done this with the Maul build. Like just go 18 con and then strength for the rest of the game. But it just kind of delays you. So that's why you could like at least, for a Maul build, you could at least do this. Like take off these force things, maybe leave some decks, and then boom, now you can upgrade strength for the rest of the game. Anyway, because you start at 18 con. You don't need to go above 18 con unless you want to. You only need 18 for the best implants. So starting out at 18 is nice for the Maul build. So there's a lot of people to do left. I'm not totally. I think next I'll do Qui-Gon. I think I'm gonna do this Qui-Gon build into Sentinel custom character. I'm always just gonna choose the first person. I know it's like there's a bunch of amazing looking characters. There's Maul. Oh yeah, can you see the little earring she's got on? I noticed that when I was watching some of the videos, and I was like, that's perfect, because Maul actually has an earring too in the movie, because his actor like forgot to take it off or something. So I was wondering if all these characters have earrings, or maybe just some of them, like this character has some ear piercings, and so does Mala. This one you can't tell because I can't see the other side of her face. I think like her hair doesn't cover up her ear on the other side, so maybe she has an earring. But our Mala build definitely had some earrings, so that's kind of fitting. That Maul build was a pretty nice playthrough, I think. Very lore accurate, considering how cursed Maul was and how messed up I was for that whole playthrough. Kept screwing things up. Lost like tons of good content. But it's alright. So yeah, I'm just gonna choose the first person for, I don't really care who the face is. I mean, they're all awesome. So Qui-Gon, maybe 12 everywhere. And then start going for Con. And then go for like charisma for the rest of the game. Also, charisma affects your companions. So like if you say Qui-Gon had a high charisma, he was able to prevent Obi-Wan from losing, you could maybe kind of go that route decently well. So, and he's wise. I mean, he turns into a Force ghost, so we might do something like this for Qui-Gon. I don't really know yet. I'm just kind of brainstorming or whatever. It'd just be nice to, like, you could just have Qui-Gon and Mace Windu builds be like almost identical, like just go all Con for the rest of the game, and that could work for both of them. But just for some sake of like variety, I think we could min-max each one a little more. Like for Mace, we could take off the wisdom and charisma. Maybe even make him a consular or something. Just to represent how good he can use the Force on droids. Because, like, he takes a droidica and just, like, launches it or whatever. He, like, uses it as a bowling ball to crush, like, 10 droids around them or whatever, And then in the 2D Clone Wars show, he's just Force deleting them, He's, like, Force punching them from close range. So like you could say Mace also has some of this, but he would just go all Con for the rest of the game, whereas Qui-Gon will still get some charisma or something just to represent his improves your companion's chance to hit and all that stuff. You could say Qui-Gon has some of that. It's never a bad idea to just play through the game with this build, because you don't really lose out on anything. You can still get up to 18 Con pretty quick, and then you can choose another stat for the rest of the game to upgrade and be solid at everything. So yeah, I think we'll figure all that out next time. Luke also, I mean, there's so many characters that we want to do, and they're all just slightly different. Like Luke could be a consular. And then Rey, like that's the thing, I have to try and figure out why is this Maul build gonna be able to beat the Qui-Gon build but lose to other builds, you know what I mean? And I mean it's all dice rolls, and it's not like the movies are based on D&D gameplay mechanics, really. It's just kind of fun to think about. So like our Maul build with all strength is great, but like if you put that up against, like why would Sidious's build be better than Maul's build? It's because it has none of this and it goes all for Force powers, you know what I mean? So he's able to hit, it doesn't matter if Maul gets the first attack and does a ton of damage to Sidious, because Sidious is still going to have high Con as well. Like this, look. Just boom, start with 18 Con if you want, and go all charisma for the rest of the game. So like, even though Maul gets the first hit maybe on Sidious, Sidious can still tank that and then just use the Force to do whatever he wants to Maul, which is exactly what he does when he fights him with his, Maul's brother Savage. You know, he's like, whenever he's ready to end the fight, he just is gonna grab Maul with the Force, and Maul can't do anything about it. And then it's like, so how would a Rey build beat Sidious, who's also probably gonna be a consular? Rey, you could definitely, I think, say, you could use Ray as battle precognition build. Go Consular. And then maybe go balanced. Here. Still want 18 con like with every build. You know, so I mean there's, and also like of course Ray didn't like do that herself. Like she doesn't beat Sidious's build herself, so it's not like we have to make Ray's build better than Sidious's build or something, you know, because she had help from the Force itself, pretty much the light side of the Force itself. I mean, you could do this with any build, just go 14, but like maybe Ray takes a little off here and then goes for charisma too. I mean, yeah, maybe it's just the same as a Sidious build, you know, it's kind of similar. Take these off with Ray's build too. I mean, you could do so many things. Luke. Like, does Luke get battle precognition? Because, like, he's not able to tell what Sidious is doing throughout the sequels, you know? So it's almost like he kind of lacked the ability to really see the full picture, you know? But then maybe you could say Rey gets a battle precognition build because she has like the power of like all the light side on her side, helping her out, you know? So there's so many things you could do. There's tons of arguments you can make, I think, for what characters should be what class, what characters should get battle precognition, and what characters should not get battle precognition. So that'll be fun to explore. But we're gonna go ahead and start that next time. Like probably start up a Qui-Gon build next. Go Sentinel into Jedi Master Prestige class. 18 con and then charisma for the rest of the game or whatever, you know. Even this, well, let's do this. And then maybe something, you know. 12s everywhere. 14 for Force. You know, not totally sure yet, but that's kind of the general idea. So that's what we'll be working on next time. And for now, I guess our Maul build is, I don't know if I'd call it a complete success because of our struggles in the mid-game, which was like taking on Vrook when we weren't really ready. I can't believe I can't one-shot all these things. Like, even if I hit everything and get some critical hits to land, they still just have so much health too, which is fine. We're able to take them out anyway. Let's load this and see if we can just tank these sabers. Maybe I should go to many opponents first. I don't know. I just like the extra attack that Julio gives you. So let's see if we can beat this with no levels. Maybe I need to go ahead and pop a shield here. Let's see what I can get. I need energy. 130 points is nice. That's probably the best one. Whoa. 170 points? That's ridiculous. How do I have 17 of those and only 5 of this one, which is the second best? Okay, so let's put this on and use an energy shield. Because, I mean, they're gonna be able to take me out. Unless I use a shield. Or unless I run around like this, like I did. I think I can drain these things. So yeah, we'll be able to do whatever we need to do. It's pretty nice though. It was a pretty good playthrough, I think. And we got Gray over here. Man, those sabers are ridiculous. Man. So yeah, pretty cool. I guess we only got to level 28. That kinda sucks. Like, it would have been cool to get the rest of these superior feats from being a marauder prestige class. Like, I got this one, the 2-weapon fighting max, but there was another one that was like superior weapon or lightsaber proficiency or specialization, which just gives you more chance to hit, which would have been nice. But man, I needed a lot more XP to be able to reach that. So maybe on another playthrough I will. I guess these are the companions that survive. Hanhar survives, I guess. All the droids. Kind of sucks I couldn't 1v1 Nihilus with these guys, but I think some of them would be able to beat him. Especially the Jedi, I mean. It's just no problem. Especially if you just save some levels and level up during the fight. That's kind of the Scion approach. I think that's what he's doing every time he does that thing where he gets his health back. I think he's just leveling up like what we do. But yeah, I mean, if you really need to, you can split these sabers all up. You can just run around with force speed. They'll never be able to catch you. This is a pretty easy fight. Man, that thing. So, let's see. Pretty nice. So I guess, yeah, our next build is probably going to be that Qui-Gon build, and we'll start that next time.